Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Today, I wanted to explain power, influence, consciousness, and human behavior. Why being good, honest, and kind is not enough. Why sometimes it seems God is unfair. I wanted to talk about the power dynamics in this 3D reality and why this topic is incredibly important and not many people talk about it. And by the end of this video, you feel confident, understand the energy dynamics, and live your life in a more harmonious way. So let's begin. First of all, most people think life is simple, good versus bad. But reality is much deeper than that. There are many people who are very kind, very giving, very self sacrificing, yet they have no influence. They struggle financially, they struggle receiving, they struggle being seen, they struggle creating impact. Why? Because being nice is not the same thing as being powerful, right? And then there are some people who are very powerful, influential, wealthy, magnetic, charismatic, but internally they may be operating through ego, anger, manipulation, or selfishness. So today I want to break down four different energies. All right, here we are. There are four different types of energy: weak and powerful, high vibration, and low vibration. The left side is weak, the right side shows strong upside, high, pure positive energy, and the down is low and the negative energy. All right. Let's go to the next slide. All right. Right here, the left lower corner, weak and negative. People in this category are complain constantly, criticize others, do nothing, wait for others to save them, always focus on what they can get. No responsibility, no growth, no discipline. This energy destroys life force. And unfortunately, many people stay here for many, many years. This is one of the most destructive states a person can live in. And these individuals are often disconnected from a purpose, disconnected from responsibility, growth, right? And they are usually very focused on what can I get from others, not how can I grow, how can I contribute, or how can I evolve. And interestingly, many people in this state are actually very good at receiving. They are so-called a taker, right? And they know how to take, consume, and ask. But they are poor at giving. Giving feels uncomfortable to them. Contribution feels uncomfortable. Effort feels uncomfortable. So instead of creating, they criticize and complain and they blame. They blame on the industry, government, trauma, parents, their kids, husband, wife, their house, where they live, weather, tax, 401k, social security, traffic, you name it. And over time, this creates deep dissatisfaction in life. You will often notice people in this state constantly criticizing, successful people, spiritual people, wealthy people, disciplined people, people who are doing the work. Because criticism becomes easier than transformation. Every time people complain, they reinforce the belief that someone or something else has control over their life. Now, this is important. When weakness and negativity combine together, like these people often become energetically stagnant. No movement, no growth, no accountability, just a complaint, envy, consumption, and criticism. And unfortunately, social media amplifies this energy tremendously. Many people today spend hours watching others, judging others, criticizing others, while doing very little to evolve themselves. This state slowly drains life force. And if someone stays here long enough, they begin believing life itself is hopeless. Now, I am not sharing this to judge people in this category, okay? I am sharing this because awareness is powerful. Many people unconsciously move in and out of this state without realizing it. We're all human. And the first step toward transformation is honesty. And to ask ourselves, am I creating or only criticizing? Am I contributing or only consuming? Am I growing or complaining? Or am I taking responsibility for my life? Right? Because healing begins the moment responsibility begins. And for many people, the first true shift upward begins with one thing: courage. The courage to stop blaming, courage to stop change, courage to change, and the courage to evolve. Okay? So let's move to the next category. Now we are focusing on the left upper corner, the energy of the blend of so-called weak energy and high energy. Good heart, small influence. So these people have a good heart, but small influence. All right. So I think many healers live here. So this is high vibration, but not very influential. As healers, many of us are conditioned to believe if I'm spiritual, I should sacrifice. If I am kind, I should always give, give, give. If I charge more, I'm selfish and greedy. And if I become powerful, I will become arrogant. This conditioning keeps many healers or so-called conscious creators or those people feeling stuck. You can be deeply loving and still powerful, right? You can help people and still receive abundantly. You can have boundaries and still have a beautiful heart. These are people who are kind, generous, compassionate, thoughtful, caring, spiritual. They genuinely want to help people, and many of them are beautiful human beings, but they struggle with power. They struggle with receiving. They struggle with visibility or influence. Um, or boundaries, right? And because of that, their impact in the world often remains very small. Now, this is important. Being a positive does not automatically make someone powerful, as you see this in the diagram. And this is where many healers or conscious creators become confused because they think if I am loving enough, life should work. If I am kind enough, abundance should come. If my intentions are pure, people should recognize me. But reality doesn't work that way. The world responds not only to your heart, but also to your strength. And many people in this category unconsciously associate strength with negativity. They might think power is dangerous, visibility is ego, money is selfish, influence is manipulation, boundaries are mean, leadership is arrogance. So they stay small in order to remain good. But over time, this often creates hidden exhaustion because they keep overgiving, undercharging, rescuing, tolerating, suppressing themselves, and eventually many begin feeling unseen, unappreciated, or energetically drained. Now, here's something very important. Weak positivity often looks spiritual on the surface, but underneath, there is often fear of rejection, fear of judgment, visibility, conflict, and fear of being disliked. So instead of standing fully in their power, they remain overly accommodating. And because they avoid intensity, they also avoid influence because influence requires energy. It requires conviction, presence, boundaries, leadership, decision making, and visibility. Many healers or conscious creators say, I just want to help people. But deep down, they are uncomfortable being seen. And this becomes the invisible ceiling in their growth. Now, I want to clarify something carefully. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being kind, right? Kindness, generosity, compassion is beautiful. But when kindness exists without strength, people often get ignored, overlooked, taken advantage of, or forgotten. So the goal is not to lose your heart. The goal is to strengthen your energy. I hope you are still with me. If you are special, you are wonderful, you are one of the kind. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's focus on this right lower corner. The energy is powerful and strong, but carries low negative energy. All right. So this one is very important to understand because many people secretly admire this energy, believe it or not. So this is strong, but carries lower energy, right? These people are often highly influential, charismatic, persuasive, confident, strategic, powerful receivers. They know how to get attention. They know how to influence people. They know how to create momentum. They know how to make money. They know how to position themselves. And because they are strong energetically, they often rise quickly. Now, here's something important. Strength is not bad. Influence, money itself is not bad. The problem is what energy is driving that strength. Because some people become powerful through fear, ego, manipulation, jealousy, anger, control, selfishness, right? And when strength is disconnected from heart, wisdom, or integrity, that influence eventually becomes harmful. Now, these people can absolutely create temporary or generations of success, right? The wealth, popularity, influence. And many people become hypnotized by this external success, but over time, people begin feeling that energy underneath because energy always reveals itself eventually. People may initially admire them, but later feel drained, manipulated, intimidated, controlled, and resentful. And this is why some highly successful people still create pain everywhere they go. Because influence alone is not evolution. Power alone is not consciousness. Being able to dominate a room does not mean someone is internally elevated. Now, I also want people, especially healers, to understand something carefully. Many people in this category, weak and high vibration category, become afraid of strength because of people like these people, the right lower corner, right? They see manipulative, powerful people and unconsciously decide, I don't want to become like that. So they reject money, leadership, visibility, influence, confidence, and the power itself, right? But that is not wisdom, that is fear. And the solution is not rejecting power. Excuse me. The solution is purifying power because power guided by wisdom, heart, integrity, and the consciousness can become deeply healing. Now, another important thing, people in this category, this the lower right side. I'm still talking about this lower right side. Okay. People in this category are often very good at receiving, but not necessarily good at giving from genuine abundance. Sometimes giving becomes transactional, strategic, and conditional. They seem kind on the surface sometimes, but their actions are driven by manipulation. There is a hidden agenda, right? So now I am not saying every strong person is negative. Of course not. Not at all. In fact, I believe many healers need to become stronger, but strength without inner work becomes dangerous like these people. Like think about the cult religion or the cult gurus, right? They gain power and they use the power in a bad way. So if someone has unresolved anger, ego, or jealousy, wounded power, energy eventually amplifies it. And this is why inner evolution matters so much. All right, so let's move to the next section. So now we are talking about people who have strong and high energy. So we are now arrive at this final category. So this is the category I believe all conscious creators must evolve toward, including myself. The power dynamics are strong and positive, right? Okay. And this is where true influence exists. This is where true leadership exists. This is where people become powerful and compassionate, influential and trustworthy, abundant and generous, confident and grounded, strong and heart centered. These people are good at giving and graceful at receiving too. And this is very, very important because many spiritual kind of people, including healers, only learn how to give. But influential healers, influential conscious creators learn how to receive support, money, opportunities, visibility, leadership, love, abundance without guilt. Why? Because they understand that receiving allows greater contribution. Now let's look deeper into this category. These people often fulfill their own dreams while simultaneously helping others to fulfill theirs. This is very different from self sacrifice. Self sacrifice usually creates exhaustion, but aligned contribution creates expansion. People in this category contribute greatly to society because they have a vision, they have a strength, they have emotional maturity, they have discernment, they have boundaries, they can lead without collapsing. And because of this, people trust them. The trust is one of the highest forms of influence, not fear, manipulation, or surface level performance. Trust. People feel safe around them. People respect them. People grow around them. People feel elevated around them. This is true influence. And this type of influence becomes healing. Now, here's something extremely important for everyone to understand. The world needs not only kind healers and conscious creators. Remember, every single one of us came to this planet with missions. I think someone said, every single one of us came to this planet with, I'm sorry, someone said, all of, we are all born originals. Why is it so many of us die copies? Right? This world needs you because if healers remain weak, manipulative people domain industries, unconscious people lead society, fearful voices become louder, and wisdom stays hidden. Many healers complain about people don't value healing, people only follow influencers, people only care about money. But part of the reason is because many healers and conscious creators avoid developing strength. They avoid visibility, or they are scared of visibility, leadership, communication, confidence. They were afraid of receiving, building business, right? So their wisdom never reaches enough people. Now imagine a healer who has a beautiful heart, understands energy deeply, has strong boundaries, communicates clearly, receives abundantly, leads courageously, continues evolving internally. That person becomes transformational. Their inner state naturally radiates strength and integrity together. Now, another important distinction: strong, positive people are not perfect people. I'm not saying that. They feel so called, bad or low frequency emotions, right? They still make mistakes, but they take responsibility quickly. They self reflect, they grow, they get up and do the work quickly, and they refine themselves continuously. This is why their influence becomes sustainable, not temporary. And honestly, I believe this is the future of healing. People who are spiritually grounded, emotionally mature, financially healthy, energetically strong, capable of leadership, receiving, and creating a real impact. Not people hiding in the background or afraid of being seen or constantly self sacrificing, but people who fully embody their value, right? Because when people, especially healers and the conscious creators, evolve into this category, the high, strong energy, they don't just heal individuals, they influence culture, they elevate standards, they create movement. And this is why I believe becoming strong and positive is not ego. This is our responsibility, right? Hmm. All right. Now, I wanted to share a deeper perspective about these four categories because in this human experience, we live in a world of duality, right? Light and shadow, giving and taking, creation and distraction, compassion and manipulation. And whether we like it or not, all four of these energies exist in this 3D reality. Now, many spiritual people try to reject the existence of darkness completely. But if darkness did not exist, we would not understand light. If manipulation did not exist, we would not understand integrity. If selfishness did not exist, we would not understand genuine generosity. The contrast creates awareness. Now, this does not mean harmful behavior is okay and acceptable, but it does mean that even difficult people can become mirrors and teachers. For example, many narcissistic or manipulative individuals often exist in a lower, you know, lower category, right? And they can be charismatic, persuasive, powerful, influential, confident, right? And because they are strong energetically, people are often attracted to them initially. Now, what is interesting is this. The opposite pair to this energy is often the upper left category of positive but weak. The empath, the overly giving healer, the self-sacrificing person, the person afraid to say no, the person afraid of conflict, the reluctant receiver. And this dynamic happens everywhere. Relationships, business, family systems, healing communities, and even spirituality. One person overgives, the other overtakes. One lacks boundaries, the other exploits boundaries, right? And unconsciously, they often attract each other. Why? Because both sides still have lessons to learn. The strong negative person often needs heart, humility, and consciousness. That weak positive person often needs strength, boundaries, self worth, and courage. And honestly, many healers must stop glorifying softness as a spirituality. Too much softness without strong boundary attracts unhealthy dynamics. Boundaries matter. Discernment matters. Strength matters because once love and strength combine together, a person becomes truly influential, grounded, and difficult to be manipulated. All right, so now we are going to the last slide. So this is the final part of today's session. And I wanted to go a little bit deeper because this chart here explains something extremely important. The vertical emotional scale shown here is inspired by the book Power versus Force by Dr. Hawkins. Dr. Hawkins has a concept called the map of consciousness. And I am sharing today, and what I am sharing today is my own interpretation and reflection of these energetic states through the lens of healing, influence, nervous system regulation, leadership, and the personal growth. Because not all emotions carry the same energy, as you know. And many people unknowingly live most of their lives from lower emotional frequencies without realizing how deeply it affects their health, relationships, business, confidence, influence, abundance, nervous system, decision making, and overall life experience. Now, before I continue, I wanted to clarify something very important. This is not about pretending to be positive all the time. This is not about suppressing emotions. And this is definitely not about spiritual bypassing. All human emotions are part of life. The goal is awareness. Because once you become aware of your dominant emotional state, you begin understanding the energetic lens through which you experience life. Now, if you look at the bottom of this chart, you will see emotions like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, right? These are very heavy emotional states. When someone lives primarily in shame or guilt, their life force becomes very contracted and they often feel powerless, hopeless, stuck, disconnected, exhausted. And over time, these emotions affect not only psychologically, but also the body, energy, motivation, and nervous system, you name it. And now, moving upward, we enter emotions like desire, anger, pride. And interestingly, anger is actually more powerful energetically than apathy or shame or guilt. For example, anger can sometimes create movement. Someone stuck in a depression may finally become angry enough to change their life, right? So some people feel like enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. And they have this anger inside of them. And that is the force to move forward, getting out of the feeling of guilt or shame or depression, right? So even though anger is not a highest state, it can create momentum. Now, one of the most important levels in this chart is courage, right here. Okay? Courage is the turning point because courage is where someone stops living as a victim. The courage says, I will take responsibility. I will grow. I will change. I will face discomfort. I will evolve. Transformation truly begins at courage. And then we continue moving upwards into neutrality, willingness, acceptance, and reason. At these levels, people become more emotionally balanced, grounded, and mature. They stop reacting to eventually emotionally. They begin seeing life more clearly. Now, as consciousness continue to rising, we enter here love, joy, peace. These states are extremely powerful. And notice something very important. Peace is actually higher than love or joy. Someone deeply peaceful can walk into a room and completely shift the energy, right? Their presence becomes a healing. And at the very top, we see states like enlightenment. Now, I am not saying humans permanently stay in one state all day long. We naturally move through emotions, but usually people have a dominant emotional home they repeatedly return to. And their emotional home shapes their life. There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. Basically, your self-image is the blueprint for your life, and you will act and feel in accordance with what you believe to be true about yourself. So now let's connect this back to conscious creators. Let's say if a healer is constantly operating from fear, guilt, resentment, self-sacrificing, emotional exhaustion, their work eventually becomes heavy. Even if their technique is good, because energy transmits and the presence transmits, nervous system communicate. So client can feel eventually or right away if someone is grounded, peaceful, authentic, emotionally stable, internally peaceful, powerful, right? So they can feel both, opposite, right? So this is why inner work matters so much. And this doesn't, I'm not saying, be perfect, but because our internal state influences our decisions or relationship, healing practice, leadership influence, and the reality we continue creating, the true higher consciousness is incredibly powerful. Someone operating from peace, joy, love often becomes far more influential than someone operating from fear or control because people naturally trust regulated energy. Now, this chart is not meant to make you judge yourself all day, every day. It is meant to help you observe yourself honestly. Like, for instance, ask yourself, what emotional state am I feeling right now? Or am I feeling daily? What energy am I living from most consistently? What emotional patterns keep repeating in my life? Or what would happen if I elevated my internal state? Because once your inner state changes, your perception changes, your decisions change, your relationships, your standards, your reality changes. And this is why I say shift your vibration and your life will change. All right. Okay. So as we finish today's webinar, I want you to remember this. Your knowledge matters, but your inner state matters just as much because your energy becomes your influence. People can feel your nervous system, your self-worth, emotional state, your presence, and your level of consciousness before you even speak. And this is why healing is not only about learning more techniques. I'm talking about healers like massage therapists, estheticians, energy healers, right? It is also, It is about evolving yourself, becoming stronger, more aware, more grounded, more emotionally mature, more courageous, more aligned with your higher self, and more capable of receiving and more capable of leading. Because the world does not need more burnout people, especially healers, hiding in the background. The world needs healers and conscious creators who are internally powerful, emotionally regulated, spiritually grounded, financially healthy, influential in the right way, capable of creating real impact. This is the direction of the Ogawa method, evolving into the type of a person whose presence itself becomes healing. And if this conversation resonated with you deeply and you feel called to work with me more closely, you are more than welcome to connect with me directly. And if you are serious about personal growth, healing, leadership, influence, business, nervous system regulation, energetic evolution, and becoming a stronger healer from the inside out, you are more than welcome to email me or visit my website and learn more details. I will share that web link in the description. And I would love to hear where you currently are, what you are struggling with, or what you are thriving right now, and what kind of a healer and a human being you are becoming. Thank you so much for being here today. And remember, shift your vibration and your life will change. If you enjoyed today's discussion, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe this channel. Thank you for being a part of this community and for supporting the work.